The current Electoral College is an outdated system which has failed to efficiently represent the will of the people and gives too much power to swing states, which allows the presidential election to be decided by a handful of states. Every 4 years, Americans choose their next president using a unique, if not controversial and even arcane system called the Electoral College. Electors are chosen to represent their state's voters and, about 1 month later, officially confirm the winner through a mostly symbolic vote. The Electoral College consists of 538 electors, and it takes 270 electoral votes to win the presidency. The U.S. system is the only current example in the world in which a head of state of a democracy is elected so indirectly. The Founding Fathers originally designed the Electoral College as an indirect hedge against the national majority having too much power over individual states. Based on their readings of historical attempts at democratic governments in Greece and Rome, the founders believed that the various states would lose much of their leverage over an unfettered executive branch, so they created a novel system based on a direct popular election within each of the various states. They wanted an extra layer of electors as part of the federal system of checks and balances to prevent a radical mobocracy from gaining control of the new country. The bottom line was to prevent an imperial presidency and reduce regional factions that could distort a popular vote. A direct popular election system was proposed at the Constitutional Convention in 1787 but was rejected. The framers of the Constitution wanted a system not unlike the process used to select the Catholic Pope, in which the College of Cardinals votes to elect a successor. Every 4 years, people ask, what is the Electoral College, and why does the U.S. have such an odd selection system, and can it be replaced with something more straightforward? In response to the latter question, Americans say yes. A majority first told Gallup in 1948 that the Electoral College system should be discontinued. After the contested presidential election in 2000, Gallup found, again, that the 61% favored replacing the Electoral College, this time with a popular vote option. And in 2013, Gallup asked Americans if they would vote for or against a law that would do away with the Electoral College. More than 6 in 10 favored such a law. Previous research also has revealed that many Americans have limited knowledge of the Electoral College system. A Gallup post-election poll conducted during the 2000 recount found that only 30% of Americans said they understood the system very well. Another 28% said they knew virtually nothing about the Electoral College, even though awareness after the 2000 election and the Florida recount should have been off the charts. The harshest criticism of the Electoral College system is that the loser of the national popular vote can win the Electoral College vote and thus win the presidency regardless. This is especially concerning in a deeply polarized electorate, such as in the U.S. today. Prior to the 2016 election, there were 4 times in U.S. history when a candidate won the presidency despite losing the popular vote. 1824, John Quincy Adams over Andrew Jackson. 1876, Rutherford B. Hayes over Samuel Tilden. 1888, Benjamin Harrison over Grover Cleveland. And 2000, George W. Bush over Al Gore.
Hi, my name is Mohammed Gomrawi. I'm a current PhD candidate in International Relations here at FIU in the College of SIPA.
Okay, so I just wanted to ask you what is your opinion on the Electoral College and if it is a valid and fair system for our government to use?
Sure. So, I think the first thing I would say about the Electoral College is I think it's a very controversial system. A democracy is supposed to be one person, one vote. The Electoral College is something that really allows it here in our country to where, even if you could still win the presidency without technically having the majority of the votes. So I think in that concept and in that way, it's a very controversial system. It should be that majority rules and the majority vote should win. Obviously, we've seen that recently with our most recent presidential election. As far as reforming the Electoral College, I really wouldn't know what would be a good system to reform it with. That's something I really never thought out. I think originally when the Founding Fathers came up with the Electoral College, their initial thought was to sort of help protect American democracy, right? To sort of ensure that nobody would ever get to the presidency that maybe shouldn't be there or didn't deserve to be there or maybe wasn't qualified, right? Didn't have the merit to hold that office. I think in one way, though, the Electoral College plays an important part. If you look at the demographics of the United States today, well, not necessarily the demographics, but where the population centers are, right? Most candidates, if we didn't have the Electoral College, most candidates would then only focus on campaigning in the most populated areas, right? New York, maybe Miami or South Florida, for instance. So in a way, the Electoral College kind of maintains the importance for more rural areas within the United States. I think that's probably the only way I could even start to defend the Electoral College, or say maybe that is in a way where it has its most important part. But at the end of the day, I think it's still, a true democracy, and coming down to majority wins and majority votes and how that works. I think, the Electoral College can really derail the democratic structure of the United States.
Thank you so much.
The Electoral College ignores the will of the people. There are over 300 million people in the United States, but just 538 people decide who will be president. In 2016, Hillary Clinton won the popular vote by more than 1 million votes, yet still lost the election on electoral votes. Just as in 2000, when George W. Bush received fewer nationwide popular votes than Al Gore, Donald Trump will serve as the president of the United States despite being supported by fewer Americans than his opponent. The Electoral College gives too much power to swing states and allows the presidential election to be decided by a handful of states. The two main political parties can count on winning the electoral votes in certain states, such as California for the Democratic Party and Indiana for the Republican Party, without worrying about the actual popular vote totals. Modern technology allows voters to get necessary information to make informed decisions in a way that could not have been foreseen by the Founding Fathers. Members of the Electoral College are now selected by the political parties, and they are expected to vote along party lines regardless of their own opinions about the candidates. Americans in general have given up on the amendment process as a vehicle for constitutional reform. Now we simply assume that the small states would block any amendment because they believe they would lose influence in the election of a president. To me, it's deeply depressing that the country is incapable of having a serious discussion of what is obviously a flawed and in some senses undemocratic process. There have been over 700 proposed constitutional amendments to change or eliminate the Electoral College, and none have ever been forwarded to the states by the U.S. Congress for ratification. The principal reason is that it takes 2/3 vote by Congress and then a 3/4 ratification by the 50 states, meaning only 13 states need to vote against a constitutional amendment to defeat it. The Founding Fathers thus ensured a high degree of difficulty to change the U.S. Constitution. James Madison had it right when he stated, "The great danger is that the majority may not sufficiently respect the rights of the minority." This principle was designed to be deeply embedded in the U.S. system of checks and balances. The chances of adopting a constitutional amendment to change the system in the near future would seem to be slim to none. Just as several voting laws that limited direct democracy in the Constitution have been modified or discarded throughout history, so should the Electoral College.